Appreciate you guys' attention. My name is Jeff Klaus. I'm responsible for ISV strategy, global ISV strategy at AWS. What does that mean? I have a small team that looks to help software companies. This program was designed for software companies, but it applies to a broader set of organizations since we've launched it. But our focus is on org design from a team perspective. We also talk to our services teams and ensure that they're architecting services that are appropriate for software companies. We also work with the partner organization to prioritize a co-sell mechanism and partner path. And then the final thing my team is responsible for is a few global programs. We identify some challenges that we've seen from a customer perspective, and we try to fill those with programs and capabilities to address your needs. The SaaS market, you might have heard from other sessions today, SaaS market is continuing to expand. We also see the US approximately 50% of the SaaS market today, but you can also see on here that SaaS is going to continue to more than double by 2029. So when you think about this, think about where you're operating and think about new potential markets that you could operate in that have a larger growth trajectory or have a larger market potential. When you're looking at potentially expanding, you look at certainly challenges that you might come across when you're with customers that are dealing with rapid technological advancement. You look at shifting competition in your current market. There's also clients that are looking for different paths, and you have different expectations from those customers in different areas where you operate. And then there's also this regulatory and compliance environment that is something that obviously you have to navigate, and it's certainly always changing. So when this is the potential challenge, what is the solution? So when we talk to customers who were trying to navigate this path, we had developed a pilot last year to try to identify what we could do from looking at the plumbing within AWS. Where were the experts that we could bring to a customer that could alleviate and reduce the risk and the challenges that are being faced by this type of motion and movement? So unlocking a potential new path, unlocking a potential new market is the opportunity we're going to talk about. And the program that you may have heard, it was mentioned in the Software Executive Forum yesterday. I know we've been in a few partner sessions where customers have spoken about this. It's called AWS Global Passport. This program has been scaling this year, and that's what we're going to review in some detail. So what this program does is it's a bespoke program, but what essentially means it's one-to-one, but we have some alternatives for one-to-few and one-to-many, depending on the kind of level or the maturity of the customers that we're operating this with. So what it does is our goal, our outcome here is to fast track and reduce the risk and accelerate the ROI that you would experience as a customer by pulling together those experts within AWS, and we also have some outside experts that we're bringing to the table in order to make this journey more complete. So we're talking about really putting ourselves in the customer perspective and trying to understand what they would need in order to make this journey much more clear. And from that perspective, being in multiple markets, strengthening your resilience from an economic perspective, and just obviously looking at a larger growth pool when looking at your business. We start with pilots typically at Amazon. We fail fast. We try to look at the potential of any new program. And this program in 2023 received a lot of accolades, and we've grown it significantly this year. Still not a significant amount of customers when you look at the overall portfolio, but we've been real selective with who we're operating with here, and this is a list of customers that have gone through year to date, and we are certainly continuing to build this as we go into 2025 and continuing this program and this path. So what is it made up of? There are really 4 key pillars that make up the Global Passport program. And I'm going to talk about each of them. We're going to have customers come and provide their own personal experience here. So the first one is strategic planning. When we talk about strategic planning, we've utilized a partner that we had worked with prior to the Passport program and its inception and growth. A partner called Think and Grow has been helping us here globally work with customers to really try to identify the best path to unlock growth. Typically, in most customers we want the person who's paying the cloud bill to be a part of this effort, and we also want the individual who's responsible for the target in that new region. And oftentimes we see that those individuals may not be on the same page. And there needs to be a common sheet of objectives and priorities, and also understanding the blockers from each of those constituents is important to get on the table. So the Think and Grow team helps to understand that with the diagnostic that they have developed, and really the customer can determine what path they most want to focus on. And as a part of that, this diagnostic is done for a couple of hours in a workshop setting. We bring the experts to you. We bring them to you in this format. And then after that, roughly a couple weeks afterwards, there's a report out that just really reviews what recommendations there are to unlock that growth. But it covers these areas and these strategic planning outputs. So you get a business report with some recommendations. There's a strategic approach to phasing your growth depending on if you're in that market with an individual, are you in that market with partners? How does your team go to market? What type of product is it? The individuals at our partner that's helping here have come from many different industries, several startups. They've seen and made some mistakes along the way and learned from those mistakes. So it's a vast resource of experience in certain verticals that can help advise customers. If you were to come off the street and pay for this, it's not an insignificant investment if you were to go to this partner independently, but AWS is providing this partner and this path for the purposes of the Passport program. AWS is paying for this. So we talk about new region framework, a guide to analyzing and understanding the customer, and then utilizing their best practices in order to understand the path for the customer that would be best. So now, instead of hearing it from me, I wanted to bring up Laura to talk about her experience with the strategic part of the program. Laura?
Can everybody hear me okay? Yes? Awesome. Okay. I am Laura Padilla. I'm from a company called Freshworks. How many of you have heard of us? Good. Actually, that's awesome, but not clearly enough, because I think at some point, all of you need to raise your hand, right? So at a quick glance, who we are, we have been around since about 2010. We went public in 2021. We have 68,000 customers, and we're a little bit over than 700 million in ARR. We have 2 main solution and product lines. We have a customer experience software and employee experience software, and all of that is AI powered. I know AI, everybody talks about AI. But our solution, when we think about co-pilots and agents, how we help optimize a customer experience and improve employee productivity as well with both of our different product suites. As Jeff was talking about, we are in the middle of high growth and scale as a company. We're going to $1 billion, and we are looking to go global. So AWS has been a huge partner in helping us reach those goals, especially with the Passport program. So as Jeff talked about, we did engage with Think and Grow, And they were an awesome partner, and they helped us consult with where we should focus our efforts when we were thinking about the next stage of growth for the company. And so they looked at revenue, geography, different business segments, what challenges we may have. We do also focus in SMB and mid-market and lower enterprise is where we focus as a company as well. So they were telling us which markets would help us focus on those customer segments better as well. And so with that exercise that we did, they gave us the report that Jeff talked about. We were able to really focus and think about where we wanted to go to next. And so they gave us key learnings, it talked about next steps, what that time frame should look like, and how we could enter those markets more effectively. And as a result of that, we were able to complete some initiatives. So first of all, we identified the US, the UK, and broader EMEA as areas that we wanted to focus on. We also opened a data center in Dubai, which was great to be able to have localization for that region. And then we also looked at CPPO partners in different regions, like Reddington and First Technology, specifically in the Middle East and Africa, who are ones that we're working with AWS on funding and be able to grow in those regions through those partners. We also did some marketing strategy and planning. We did a summit in Washington, D.C. We had several Freshworks flagship events in different areas. Our events are called Refresh, so we did that. We're also doing co-sell motions with the AWS sales team as well, which has been awesome. And then we're looking at public sector as another area that we want to focus on from a vertical perspective. And so we're starting to see the fruits of all that work. And so we're seeing pipeline over $1 million generated so far in a very short amount of time. For the US, UK has been, over 50K, and the UK as well. And this is just the beginning. And so we're really excited to be able to leverage everything that AWS has to offer to be able to help us scale and get to that next level. And so the Passport program has been a really awesome tool for us to use. And so with that, I will hand it off.
Great, thanks, Laura.
Thanks.
So you can see that the experiences are going to be different on the strategy development, and that's the advantage of having someone looking at this external. I've also had account managers and individuals that work with you every day say, you know what, I didn't know that my customer had these challenges. I didn't know that there was this debate going on between the CRO and the CTO on where we should go next. And we've had some real animated sessions where we've had customers debating in the room, like where is our next opportunity? So what we're trying to do here is provide an outside perspective as well and give you some additional expertise and advisory on what these opportunities could be to help unlock this next path for you. The next piece of that, of the pillar, so we have 4 pillars. The first one was strategy we just spoke about. This one is technical readiness. So what we're talking about here is just ensuring that there's an appropriate framework for you technically to expand. Have you done everything necessary before you're making that investment? And the first piece of that is really just something fundamental that you should already be aware of, is really the well-architected review. Now, the well-architected review is very comprehensive. It goes through your entire technical portfolio. And this is something that's table stakes. It's a must-have before you really get to the next level of operating. You certainly don't have to do it, but you're likely leaving money on the table. You're likely not as optimized as you should be in order to have lower starting costs when you expand into that next region. So what have we done here beyond the well-architected review? The technical teams call it a lens. So it's a specific lens that was crafted just for Passport. So Ray Zaman, who is the SA for Datadog, senior SA, done this a lot. This company essentially follows AWS in their locations that we operate in. He created a lens that is specific to Passport. That's really a sub-section of the well-architected review. We want to ensure customers are modernized before they duplicate their instances. They can use infrastructure as code to minimize that cold start cost when you're going into a new region. We also do not have 100% of our features in every part of the world. It's based on demand. So we certainly want to make sure that what you need in that region that we operate is there when you land. We also want to understand what server types you have, what instance types you have. So we can look ahead and make sure that no one is surprised when you go and take that journey and you make that investment. So we realize you're making an investment. We want to be there right with you to make sure it's as seamless as possible. And the end result is really lowering the cold start costs and making sure that there are that the path is paved when you reach that location. So this is really understanding these alternatives, making sure you're aware of best practices as you move into these new regions, and you understand the offerings and the capabilities of that region technically for your operation. So here's another opportunity to have a customer talk about their technical collaboration with AWS as a part of the Passport program. So I'm going to bring up Ian from Verint to give his perspective. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you. Am I on? All right, great. Thank you for the introduction. I'm going to go over an overview of Verint and what we do and some of the technical aspects of our products, and then how we ran into some challenges deploying generative AI solutions, really globally, and how AWS stepped in and helped us overcome those challenges through the Passport program. So Verint provides an open contact center as a service platform. We have about 50 different products that run across everything to do with customer service, customer experience. So you can think of self-service, contact center, back office, compliance, quality monitoring, analytics, anything in that space, anything between a company and their customers, we have software running in there doing things. The thing that we've done with these products is we've looked to identify situations where people are doing repetitive or time-consuming tasks, and we've looked to create automation around those tasks, and we've branded this a bot. So a bot does one single function, does it well. It's the automation of a human task. And we use these bots to help make contact center, back office employees more productive, more efficient, work faster, save our customers money. Many of these bots are built on generative AI, and we are running in a combination of SageMaker, EC2, and Bedrock. And an example of this might be real-time agent assist. So listening in on a call and giving suggestions to an agent of behavioral changes, or maybe suggesting knowledge articles based on topics that are coming up. Another example would be helping the agent do their post-call work. So summarizing call notes of those interactions. These would be examples of bots that we have built and deployed. So how we have done this is several years ago, we decided it would be very advantageous if we take the AI and the ML technology components out of the products themselves, centralize them, and developed a platform really to provide AI and ML as a service to our products. This allows us to abstract the technology decisions, the code decisions, the framework decisions from the products, and lets us basically switch that stuff out as new AI becomes available, as new models become available, as new frameworks become available, and not have to touch the product code base, and we can have a lot more consistency across our products and our bots. So what this model management layer here does is basically provide an API internally to these products. They call it, they say, here's a transcript, I would like a summary of that, for example. I don't care how you do it. On the back end, we can then route that based on what language is this transcript in? What customer is this transcript for? All of those sorts of things can be used to help determine the optimal model to use to do that work. So we might actually route one customer, because maybe they're a financial institution, to a different LLM than we would route, say, a healthcare company to do that same job. So the other issue we have when we're deploying regionally is language support. So summarizing an English interaction is potentially going to use a different model than summarizing a Hebrew or a Japanese or a Korean interaction. All of this is made essentially very easy to us because we can just take the parameters of the request coming in, say, oh, you're this customer in this language and you're doing this task. You go to this back-end service, handle that, get the response. This has also been very advantageous to us because many customers are now beginning to, for compliance or security reasons or their own internal policies, want to own that LLM within their environment. So we've developed a generic plugin interface that basically lets us route to the customer's environment to handle that use case, but it's still going through the same product user interface and the bot's doing the same job. And we can route those things dynamically just based on the tenant ID coming through as a parameter in that request. One of the challenges with this, however, is doing this globally, maintaining a consistent user experience, maintaining a consistent bot functionality, was really a combination of things. One, we're supporting 4 million contact center agents in over 100 countries. A lot of these are in languages that aren't English, right? So we have to support over 50 different languages in our products. Also, many of our customers are running in countries that have data residency requirements. The data can't leave that country. Another challenge we ran into was with Bedrock. Many of the models that we were using in the US weren't available in these regions that we wanted to deploy in. And another issue we saw was that even with Bedrock, the same model in a different region will have different latency based on the hardware availability in that region and how much use that model's getting. And then the mix of bot usage that we're seeing within this platform varies dramatically based on region. So we have to be very good at forecasting our expected bot usage within a particular region so that we can basically handle that. So AWS stepped in and helped us solve these challenges in a couple ways. With Bedrock, basically they stepped in and they looked at our sales projections in a particular region. So if we're going to turn on a new region, they said, well, what kind of volume are you expecting? What mix of bots do you expect this to be? What are the tokens per minute, the requests per minute going to look like? How many tokens on the input? How many tokens on the output? They did a bunch of calculations. They helped us figure out exactly if it's going to save us money to do this as a provision throughput, or should we do this as an on-demand and then scale out later. They also helped us choose between should we run this model ourselves in SageMaker because that model isn't available yet on Bedrock. We also worked with them on understanding when models were going to get turned on in different regions so that we'd be able to take advantage of them. One of the things that they did is they actually ran latency tests for us of the same model but across different regions in Bedrock so that we had some understanding of the user experience impact, say turning on a region in like the UK where maybe the same model was running 500 milliseconds slower there than we saw in like US West 2 or something. The other thing that Bedrock really helped us with is when we're going to go deploy in a new language we haven't deployed yet, say Japanese or something, they worked with us and the model vendor, the people that train the model, say someone like Anthropic, come in and say, can you help us evaluate this model on contact center data in Japanese so that we have a good understanding of any additional work that we have to do for that bot. So Amazon helped us in a lot of different ways, optimized our costs, and basically plan out what a new region is going to look like for us before we got there and turned it on, so it was a success when we did. There's a few lessons we learned out of this. One is expanding generative AI globally had some unique challenges. Basically, we had to work with all the different regulations. That was another big piece of it. The different API latencies and the quotas are very different in Bedrock in the different regions out there. The pricing and the model availability was all things that we needed to know up front. Amazon helped us figure that stuff out, smooth that all out, so we were all in place and ready to turn on when we had a contract signed. The other thing was adding new languages to a generative AI product may require dynamically switching the LLMs on the background. So if a request comes in and it's for Korean, we might be actually routing that to a different LLM and making sure that's going to be available where we need it when that customer is wanting to add new languages to their products. So AWS really helped us out with this in the Passport program, and we were able to minimize our costs and have successful deployments in many regions around the world.
Super, thanks, Ian. So you can see the opportunity here is really about ensuring that there are no surprises. We've done this before, and we are applying best practices to your experience and always trying to optimize. And improve it and self-correct and learn from our mistakes. So I'm not saying that we're going to solve every issue. We're not going to have every service in every region. We have to plan these things out, similar from an instance and server type perspective. So that was technical readiness. Now we're going to go on to compliance. So when I first looked around AWS to try to solve this issue, I found attorneys that could help. They were negotiating with GDPR regulations. I found some SAs that were very knowledgeable about this. But legally at the time, AWS could not give advice to customers how to comply with the local laws in this certain region. Is that a part of their job remit? It wasn't. So I found this group at the time that was just a couple of people. There was a sub element of ProServe, and they provide this type of service. They essentially are looking at how do you operate in a multi-region environment legally, and they have obviously significant understanding of AWS services that can help you get there. So these individuals have grown in size substantially in the past year. They are comprised of ex-regulators and ex-auditors from these different constituents. They have experience and expertise conducting audits. They were on the regulatory side before they came to AWS, and they live and breathe this compliance and how compliance evolves and how it changes. So what we do is we bring these experts to you in these passport sessions. We let you have some time with them to understand where are you going. Let's talk about the top 3 regions that you're prioritizing. What are the landmines? What are the particular issues that you want to watch out for when you are targeting those issues? And it's not only just getting there and doing a snapshot of what the challenge is, because we know that these audits are regular. There's an annual process here. How can we make that easier for you so that it's not a case where you're consistently scrambling for complying an audit and there's not a planned process as a part of that? So the goal here is to advise on this path, to understand where you want to go. And you can see a common theme here. We don't want you to be surprised. And we're treating this as if it was our business. I mean, that's how I look at this. This was my business. What would I want in order to make it easier for me to continue to expand? This is another element of that that's important. So you can look at the forecasting of what's coming from a regulatory perspective, and also just have an understanding that you have experts. Even if you don't use them now, you could tap into them if there's a challenge in the future or there's a question that you have as a part of being introduced to this. So again, I'm not going to continue talking about this myself. I'm going to bring up Kayla, who's a CISO for Devo, and talk about her personal experiences here. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am losing my voice because I have been talking too much the past few days. So if you can't hear me, just let me know and to raise the volume, and I definitely will for you. So as mentioned, I am Kayla Williams. I am the CISO of Devo. We replace traditional SIEMs with real-time security data platforms. So we have UEBA, we have SOAR, we have obviously a traditional SIM as well, or SIEM, however you want to pronounce it. But we really help to kind of give you, our customers, like a modern, scalable platform. We are built on top of AWS for the ability to scale. Right? I think if you're all here, you all know that already. We integrate with AWS Security Hub and AWS Security Data Lake as well. So we give our customers a modern, a modern scalable platform that transforms security operations. We are an SRRP partner, service-ready partner with AWS, and we are available on the AWS Marketplace as well. So we are our customers' ally against adversaries. We are global, and we are continuing to expand, which is why this AWS Global Passport program has been absolutely crucial to the success of my security program. And our customers, because as we all know, our customers are the ones who force a lot of security on us, right? We get a lot of our pass downs through contractual obligations and requirements on top of the regions that we operate in. So if you have financial services customers, you may have PCI that comes down to you as a requirement through your contracts for doing business with them. Obviously, if you're in Europe or in the UK, you have GDPR that's passed down through. So for us, it's been an instrumental partnership with AWS through this Global Passport program to be successful in meeting those customers' needs. What you really are probably interested in is, how did this all come together for us? Well, I'm sure all of you know, security is a cost center, right? That's all we hear. Well, having AWS Global Passport partnership come to the table with us and get, the general counsel, to get our chief revenue officer, to get our customer success officer, to get CFO and CEO, all of those stakeholders at the table to say, sure, it might cost you a little bit to get your compliance, but here's all your go-to-market opportunities that are going to come to it. And it kind of gives that spin on the traditional, oh, it's just a cost center. Well, no, you're also able to build trust with your customers by being able to demonstrate your ability to meet your control requirements in all these regions. And it helps to be able to say, hey, here's an expert with AWS who understands their core competencies and can say, whatever you have in this region can apply in other regions. As Jeff mentioned before, sometimes there are security processes that may not be available in every region at this time, but here's how AWS mitigates that risk and helps you to address those needs, where I would never have known that on my own. But my partners at AWS have come together to the table and have really helped me and my team and the executives, the business decision makers, understand the actual value of using the global AWS Passport program and being able to kind of take my security program and pivot that and be able to address the needs. So we've opened ourselves up to new markets. Just today, I was actually meeting with AWS this morning to talk about moving into Latin America. What is that going to look like? What are the gaps from what I have today to where I need to be tomorrow to address that market? And how do I prioritize them? So it's going to get everybody back to the table again to talk about that. The same thing with strategic planning we have GovCloud. We are FedRAMP authorized to moderate. Well, if I want to go into Australia and get their IRAP, which is basically their FedRAMP equivalent, what's that gap? What does that look like? What's the level of effort? What's it going to cost in people and time to address those gaps? So it's really helping to streamline the process for me to be successful from a security and compliance perspective and meet the needs of the demands in the regions that we're looking to expand into. And of course, SOC 2, ISO 27001, 18, 17, 27701, you name it, PCI, GDPR, and all the other privacy regulations that are coming into play. What do we have to do today to be able to lift and shift, pivot wherever we need to go? And our AWS Global Partnership has been absolutely crucial in the success of us being able to do that and go where the markets are taking us. They were not just a partner in just this initiative, they were able to actually demonstrate to the leadership team how we can, from a security perspective, also reduce the costs in the long run, right? Because everyone always hears, oh, security, like I said, security is so expensive. Well, no, if you can just streamline your processes, mitigate your risks in multiple different ways, you are going to be able to drive that value, and that has been absolutely crucial for us. We chose the Global Passport because of our great partnerships that we've had with our AWS team all along. We are moving through our PCI compliance right now. Lucky for us, we're going for an SEG205. So anyone who knows what that is, that's like 350 plus controls on top of our SOC 2 that we have to do. And sitting at the table and being able to have someone explain from AWS exactly what we needed to do to meet these requirements and exactly where in security, how we needed to go to find the evidence to help to automate that compliance demonstration. Because we can say all day, oh, we have that. You have to be able to prove it and demonstrate it. So being able to have someone walk us through what that looks like, to be able to get engineering on board to say, here, it's very simple. Because when it comes from me, or from many of you, you might have the same thing where they're like, oh, the level of effort is way too much. When you have AWS at the table, they really can't say that anymore. And that's been crucial for us. It's been really great. And being able to meet the needs today you also have to have a plan, a strategic plan to meet the needs of tomorrow, because who knows where your regulations are going to go. We have new AI compliance that's coming out globally. We have privacy laws that change, I feel like, on a weekly basis. And being able to go to my partner and say, hey, I just heard this thing called NIS2. What is this? What's DORA? What do I have to do? And they've already thought about it. They've already looked at their own internal processes and our infrastructure and said, here's the plan of what you need to do to get there. And we're going to partner with you and help you to sell this internally to your team so that you're not behind the 8 ball, because your competitors are going to be out there ahead of you. So let's just work together and be strategic and move forward in a way that is able to keep you compliant, keep you flexible, keep you scalable, and keep you resilient. And that's what we've gotten out of our partnership with AWS, the Global Passport program. And I will hand it back to you, Jeff. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kayla, appreciate it. I know Kayla, I'll never forget in her session, and she reviewed everything that she was responsible for, and the team from Security Assurance Services were like, wow, you were responsible for all of that? I mean, when you have relatively small teams, it's also a great opportunity to leverage an outside partner. Do you want to take advantage of that flexibility from an outside partner perspective? And I think that's what AWS can provide here. Okay, we've talked about strategic development and unlocking growth. We talked about technical readiness. We just talked about compliance and regulatory. And now we're going to get to the final pillar, which is go-to-market and approaching this. Again, I looked at this. If this was my business and I wanted someone to help me, wouldn't it be nice for me to land in a new region with some leads and some connections and some people there to help me? It's like when we were in Shanghai running these sessions a few weeks ago. When you land and you come out in that airport and you see everybody looking at you and there's no sign with your name on it, it's pretty daunting. How am I going to get from A to B? Wouldn't it be nice somebody has a big sign with your name on it? I'll help you. I'll tell you where the taxis are. I'll take you in my car. That's kind of what we're trying to develop here when it comes to go-to-market and exploring these new areas. So we're looking at AWS's expertise and the partner development capabilities that we have with a significant amount of partners and lessons learned from that. We also like to talk about marketplace in this environment. Marketplace gets you global. It gets you into new regions very quickly without having people there. It abstracts the complexity of you having to do a statement of work in a different language, in a different currency. Marketplace helps you to have a forward team or even a skeleton team be able to transact in that market. So we utilize and leverage marketplace, wherever we can because of those benefits, and that also helps you draw down any AWS commitment that you might have. So when we're looking at the go-to-market approach, we're talking about creating this pipeline, having an individual to help you when you land, and awareness of all the tools and capabilities, because as you know, there's a lot of complexity when you're dealing with the plumbing of AWS, and the individuals who help you from a partner perspective, they know that. What is it going to take to get this incentive program? What is it going to take in order to get this credits to help you with growth? So that's what we're talking about here is as a part of the Passport program, in that workshop, we bring in the partner development manager and we sit down and say, hey, this customer wants to focus on this new region. That's where their priority is. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the best practices for landing. Let's talk about who we can introduce them to in that new region. And that's the fabric that we're trying to connect when we have global customers that want to lean in with our business. So next I'm going to bring up Jamie to talk about their experience and their growth and their development with the Passport program. Jamie?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, all right. It's just a group one. All right. Well, I can't see anyone. That's great. Yeah, my name is Jamie Dahane. I'm the VP of Technology Services and Chief of Staff to our CTO here at Braze. I'll talk briefly about Braze and our existing infrastructure and data center footprint, but how that aligns with go-to-market and why that needed to change and why we partnered with the Passport program. We'll discuss an exploration into Indonesia that didn't end up working out. It will eventually later, but not be the first place we landed. lessons in that partner movement and motion, and finally go to market in Australia. So Braze is a customer engagement platform that helps businesses deliver personalized and targeted messaging to their users across various channels, such as push notifications, in-app messages, and SMS. We have a mobile SDK. We're installed on probably on your phone 20 times if you get a push notification from McDonald's that's coming from Braze, for example. We sent 14 billion messages on Black Friday last week. Probably another, I didn't check the stats yesterday, probably another 12 billion on Cyber Monday. And each year we see that continuing to grow. And so the way that we've grown as, you look at these stars, and those are data centers, US East 1 in Virginia, and then in Frankfurt with backups in Dublin and Ohio. But we've only ever had these two, even though we have offices globally, sales offices globally. Those sales offices are driving the business, but the business model itself, the latency to get to our data center is not the thing. It doesn't take, whether it's 40 milliseconds to Frankfurt or 60 milliseconds to the States, doesn't matter if it takes me two full seconds to compose an email. So we hadn't ever prioritized it. Most recently, however, we are getting feedback that, as Ian mentioned earlier, data regency matters a lot, and we want to prioritize self-hosting our entire stack rather than having partners, and we felt that building out a new, smaller data center would allow us that practice, get that DevOps team motion in place. So our go-to-market leadership hypothesized that we should do Jakarta first. There's a lot of regional business there, government buy-in matters, and the sales team was looking for help in closing more deals. We did a proof of concept, creating a Braze instance fully regionalized in Indonesia, and while there was technical parity, we had all the systems and everything we needed, we did identify that higher fixed cost, and that go-to-market motion resulted in us saying, for a significant period of time, that fixed cost and running those servers, everyone was excited about us potentially we announced this and we're going to launch in Indonesia, but when we ended up going to sell, having to adjust that price to cover for the fixed cost and cover for the regionality and these types of things was not something the buyers in that country were willing to stomach at that time. So it's like, do you want that regional data or do you want data in the States that's cheaper? And we're seeing deals take that cheaper option. Because of that, we opted to explore different regions and pilot for our original launch. Since Braze is fully infrastructure as code, spinning up a new instance of Braze in a new region wasn't that complicated once it was done once. The go-to-market pivot caused minor delays, but we're finding much more success in our go-to-market motions, leveraging learnings from the Passport program, our local sales team, and sales partnerships. We identified a much better business case in the region in Australia. So the customers there tended to be a little less price sensitive, and rather prioritizing software quality, security, and risk management. Recent and upcoming laws are pushing more and more business to need to have data residency, not just for the Australian government or government-owned subsidiaries or contractors, but all companies operating out of that country. So our sales team quickly pivoted to Australia, and our growth and go-to-market enablement teams shifted quickly as well. Incorporating these learnings from Indonesia and the Passport program, our market strategy now feels fully informed, starting from legal through pricing and sales and marketing, and finally to the engineering organization. Knowing these laws and regulations meant that the lower cost options aren't the priority, but rather getting earlier in the deal cycles so we don't disqualify out, getting that access to that huge local market. And these changes are going to be region by region, but those learnings will allow us to continue to roll out to new regions over the course of next year. But today we just put an internal blog post, and I'm doing the second announcement, but we are announcing this is, there we go. The Australia data center, we're launching early in January 2025, having this platform available for all of our customers starting then. And it'll be very exciting for all of our new customers in the Australia region to have that fully redundant, fully regionalized residency and security. So thanks so much, but that's a little bit of our journey as we went from exploring what regions and to finding what worked for go-to-market. This one.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Great. Launching in Australia, ready to go January 2025. No surprises. I'm sure there still will be surprises, but we've done the best we could. We've prepared as much as possible to get there, and that's the objective, to try to make it as easy as we can, and also to accelerate the return on investment for our customers so that they can have a successful path. So that's the program in 4 stages. How does it work? What are the logistics behind it? It's essentially a half-day workshop where we bring the experts to you, but we also want buy-in from your senior leadership. We are looking for, as I mentioned before, the person who pays the cloud bill. And we also want the individual who's responsible for the target for growth. So typically that's someone in VP of engineering, could be the CTO, in addition to a CRO or a senior sales leader. We've had individuals come that own the target in the new region that they're looking to expand to, and that's equally as helpful because they are vested to make sure that they take advantage of these tools because their success is dependent on the help that we can provide. So, as I mentioned before also, we go through those sections, and then there's a period of time where our partners from Think and Grow will take the data from the diagnostic, from the interaction that they've had with the customer, and they will set up a report out that typically happens 2 to 3 weeks after the session. And we also work with the account team to make sure that any actions captured are followed up through the follow-on to the actual workshop. And then the 1-hour report out occurs with Think and Grow and the operators who were in the session. Okay, that's how it works. From a nomination criteria perspective, there are several paths of getting into Passport. We do have a revenue threshold. I think one of the other pieces that's important is a partner maturity threshold. We are looking for customers who are a part of ISV Accelerate. We want someone who has done some co-selling and who understands the tasks and the muscles memory that it takes in order to do co-selling in different regions. We certainly want to see strong growth in a home market, but just keep in mind there are exceptions. There are exceptions for a good story. There are exceptions for someone who is at an early stage in their partner journey and they want to accelerate onboarding. So we will do our best to make sure that we accommodate a great opportunity as a part of this. Okay? Then mentioned this before, this is important. This is probably one of the more important elements of the session is getting the right individuals there. Because you can impact change. We've had customers that have brought the report to their board, to their VC, to their rest of their organization saying, you know what, we're not just saying this. This is an outside diagnostic from a partner who evaluates a number of companies around the world, and this is what they're recommending as our path to unlock growth. So keep that in mind. And then, obviously, the benefits you've heard. Strategic planning, we talked about those recommendations, technical readiness, the regulatory and compliance. And if you don't take advantage of any of these at the time of the workshop, you now have some contacts who you can call upon if you need that to follow up when the time comes. We'd obviously want to accelerate that path as soon as possible, but you're still obviously getting the individuals that are necessary to take this journey. So communicate your interest as a next step to your account team. How do you get in? There is a global, if you search for Global Passport, AWS Global Passport, it should come up. There's a public website where you can express interest directly. You can also ask your account team and ensure that they are aware of your interest. And then we can look at case studies that are on the website. We also have them available for the account teams. And then we schedule it. I think this QR code will take you right to the public site, and that is how we get in. So that's our presentation. Hopefully you were informed, understand the outcomes, and appreciate your attention. Thank you.